Hi, I'm Chad Berry. Welcome back. Today we're going to get outside, we're going to take a little drive, we're going to shoot some wildlife and some birds. Okay, so welcome back. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please take a second, make sure you do so. I'm going to be bringing you videos every week. This is my first video that we're going to start talking a little bit about shooting wildlife photography. Now, we're going to do a little bit different today. We're going to stay in my car most of the day. I might get out once or twice, but we're going to take a little ride out in the country and we're going to see what we can find. Now, why would I spend some time doing, you've seen some of my photography online, maybe you've seen some bears and wolves and stuff like that. Well, a lot of that, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of that photography is taken from the vehicle. Now, I love getting out on my feet, getting out on the hike, and I do get lots of wildlife and bird photography that way as well. But there are a lot of advantages to taking photographs from your vehicle, and in some places like, say, Yellowstone National Park, you're gonna want to be in your vehicle most of the time, right? If you're out on a hike, great, but you can get a ton of shots right from your vehicle, right from the road, if you take the time to do so and that you learn the techniques. So another important thing is shooting wildlife locally. A lot of people will say, well, I don't have this species or that species or this species here, but you do have things to shoot. And it's very important that before you spend good money and go on a tour of the Great Bear Rainforest, let's say, that you learn some of the basics of taking photos with your camera, learn the equipment, work through it, understand how to get to your focus points and why you might be getting a shaky, blurry shot from time to time. So we're going to talk about a few of those things today as we go. We're going to get out in the car, we're going to take a ride through the country. This is wildlife, so I don't know if I will see anything today or not. I might have to take you out 2 or 3 days in a row before I can finish this video off. But before we do that, I want to take you through some of the equipment that I use. So I've got some stuff laid out on my kitchen table. We're going to head over there now. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Okay, so let's talk about what we've got here. This is what I would consider the bare minimum amount of gear to bring for this kind of a shoot. So I've got a camera, I've got a lens. I'll talk about those selections and why I've chosen them. So I've chosen to use my Canon 7D Mark II today. The reason why I've chosen to use that over one of my full frame lens or cameras is because it is a crop body and it's going to give me a little bit extra magnification. It gives me the same as 1.6 times the distance of my lens. So you get a little bit more magnification. I'm going to be able to bring those subjects in a little bit closer. And from my experience shooting most of the wildlife and the birds and stuff in the neighborhood, that's probably what I'm going to need. I'm going to need a little bit more reach to get to what I want. This has been great. I've shot all kinds of stuff. I've shot out in Olympic National Park. I've shot with this camera in Yellowstone National Park, up at Park Omega, in Algonquin all the time. It's a great little body, works fantastic. It's a little bit lighter than the full frames as well, so it's a little bit nicer handheld. And it actually goes up to 10 frames a second, which is fantastic. So other things that I've got my strap, I've got my Blackrapid Sling here. The reason I've got that is if I do decide to get out of the vehicle and move around a little bit, I want to be able to hang that camera at my side in between shots and be able to quickly swing it up into position and get those shots when I need them. Extra cards and extra batteries. I cannot tell you how important it is to bring extra cards and bring an extra battery, at least one with you when you go. It's happened to all of us before. It's happened to me. I've gone out before. I forgot to take the battery out and charge it up the night before. And guess what? I've got 16% battery life. I'm out there, I get a couple hundred shots and I'm cooked. I'm done for the day. So bring yourself an extra battery. Make sure you have that. I keep an extra battery and a charger in my car at all times now, and the same type of battery works in all 3 of my bodies, so I've always got a spare available to me. Make sure you've got some, if you're doing wildlife, you want to have some fast memory cards. you want to be able to transfer those images, especially if you're shooting raw, out of that buffer onto the cards so that you can continue shooting. If you've ever been shooting and you hear that click, 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 that is your buffer filling up. It's got to push those onto the card. And if you have a faster card, depends on you a little bit on the buffer as well, how fast it can move. But the faster your card is, the better chance you are going to be able to dump those off real quick. So I've got a couple cards on here. If they come into focus there, hopefully, I've got the 1000 times Lexar Professional SD card here. I've also got my 166 times CF cards. So make sure you pick some fast cards. Lexar doesn't produce cards anymore, but you will be able to find an alternative out there, SanDisk or something like that. What else do I have here? I have this is a beautiful lens. I love this lens. This is, if you can see that, that is my Canon 100-400. This is the Mark II. It's the newer version. I used to have the original Mark I, and it always found it just a little bit soft. This Mark II is fantastic, really ultra fast focusing, and really, really sharp images. So 400 millimeters gives me a lot of extra range, especially when I put it onto a crop. I've got a hood here. Hood is a great idea, especially today. It's a little bit sunny. There's a good chance that I'll have some, that I'll be getting some glare on the lens, so I want to have that on there. The hood on this is kind of neat. It actually has a little slide right here, which lets you go in and adjust if you have a polarizer. I have a polarizer on this lens right now. If you needed to adjust that polarizer to get rid of some glare on water or something, then you can do that on there without having to reach through the front of the hood. I've got a lens cap on there. We're just going to throw that in the bag because I don't need that all day. Other thing I'm going to put on today is I have the Canon Extender 1.4 Mark III. Now what this does is it gives you another level of magnification, so another 1.4 times. So I've got my 400 times my 1.6 times my 1.4. I'm getting well over 900 millimeters of telephoto magnification when I'm shooting, and that's going to really bring the wildlife in a lot closer. That you might still have things that are out of range. There's a cost to everything. The cost to having this on here is that because this lens doesn't go down to, doesn't open up wide enough, the best I'm going to get is an f8 when I'm working with this, but I'm willing to do that. So to put that all together, that guy comes off. We're going to line that up. Locks onto there. And the same thing, you've got your little red dot there. Red dot, line that up. And now I've got a nice long lens there. Lots of magnification, and I'm ready to head out and go shooting. Okay, so we're on the road. We're gonna head out into the country. I've got a few roads that I know have worked out for me in the past and stuff. I've got a couple tips on some snowy owls, so if, fingers crossed, any luck, we might be able to see those. It's a little bit sunny out. There is some cloud cover, so it's going in and out. Of course, it's going to be a little trickier for me to get a good exposure with the bright sun. We're almost noon here right now. Honestly, if you're going to go out and do this kind of thing, I would suggest going out for first light or going out in the evening, but had some other stuff to do this morning as well as get the video prepped. So we're gonna do an afternoon shoot. So it's gonna be a little bit trickier, but we're gonna have some fun. So let's see what we can find. Something I'll add is as soon as I got in the car, I got my equipment ready, and so I've got my camera actually sitting down beside me on the passenger seat, and I've already dialed in some base settings, something that I know that I can work from. So I've opened the aperture as wide as I can, so I'm at 6.3 if it's on the wide side. It's at 8 if it goes all the way out, because I have that 1.4 on there. And I dialed in the ISO to ISO 800, and what that has given me is anything from about 1/500th of a second to 1/1000th of a second, depending on what I'm exposing against. So it gives me enough speed that I know that if I am able to get out and I'm able to get some shots, one, I can hand hold it and I'm going to have enough speed that I'm not going to get too much camera shake. Now with the stabilizers today, they're just fantastic. They let you shoot at much lower shutter speeds. I've shot actually down to a 13th of a second with this kind of setup and been able to get a sharp shot, but that's not the norm. You can't do it all the time. So in order to make sure that I get that, I want to get a sharp shot, I want a little bit faster shutter speed. It's also going to help me freeze the action. So if you're out and you're shooting and you're questioning all the time why you're getting blurry photos, one, you might not be focusing properly, or your camera system doesn't have a sensitive focusing system, or you might be shooting at a lower shutter speed and you're getting a little bit of camera shake in there. The camera's moving around and you're not getting that nice crisp shot. So my gear's ready. We're well on our way out there. I'm cruising along the river here. I'm not seeing a whole lot right now, a couple geese and stuff, but I'm really hoping for these snowy owls. So we're gonna keep going out. Gonna get out into the country a little bit further and hit some of the hot spots I know for those. Try your luck, no promises, but we'll see what we can find here. Okay, I've got a couple geese a little bit closer here. Try to get a couple more shots. Sure, with wildlife photography, you need to be patient. The shots are a little dark. I'm going to go up a little bit more. Try 1 1/3. Alright, they're obstructed now, so we'll move along. So I am at the St. Clair National Wildlife Area. I had skipped on by and I did a little U-turn, came back around because I could see over here that there were some clear areas and there's quite a bit of waterfowl out here. One thing that's great about shooting in the car, wildlife and waterfowl, birds, even reptiles get quite used to vehicles being around, and they start to tend to ignore them a little bit. They know I'm here, but they don't see the vehicle as a threat. I've found so many times, you know, you see a beautiful red-tailed hawk up in a tree or something, and you're able to get fairly close with the vehicle, but as soon as you open up that door, they're up in the air, they're gone. So we want to, you know, we want to take advantage of the car and the camouflage, so to speak, that it gives us, and allow us to capture these animals doing what they do in nature without influencing them. You know, there's an ethical wildlife photographer tries to influence their subject matter as little as possible. We don't want to try to get them to perform stunts and stuff. They're not circus animals. Their nature, they're doing their thing. We want to capture them in their real environment. The elusive Canadian jaguar. I'm just going to change up my exposure a little bit here. Just a lot of sun on them and they're white, so I don't mind if the background or the foreground is a little dark, but I don't want to blow out any of the highlights. Now, I don't bait owls. I don't believe in it. Again, we're changing the behavior of the animal. We're giving them a food reward, and they will learn quite quickly that a vehicle coming up then represents potential for food, and we start to increase the risks. And there's things with you know, people are using store-bought mites and stuff that might have diseases and stuff, and we're passing that on. So I'd rather let them do their thing. They can hunt quite well. They're born for it. Get a couple more shots here, and we're going to see if they have any more friends in the neighborhood. Okay, so I've got another snowy here. Just want to take it. It's still a little ways out there, but I want to talk about one other thing that I might do sometimes when I'm shooting in a car to get a little bit more stability. And this is something you can do for free. You already own this. You can grab a blanket or a sweater. I've got a blanket that I always keep in the car here. I'm going to place that up on the sill, and I'm going to use that as a rest for my camera. Now this will just help take out some of the vibrations and help me stabilize a little bit. And yeah, definitely got an owl here. Again, it's pretty small. It's looking the other way right now. The tricky thing is they will often place themselves in an area with a little bit of snow, kind of camouflaging themselves. They're smart birds. Kind of a blob. But it's nice to see. We'll move on. We'll see if we can find another one. Okay, I've got a great opportunity here. Now, these are seagulls. I know, exciting, right? But I found a little place where the river is frozen, and there's some pieces of fish and stuff that are kind of up on the surface, either frozen to the the surface of the water where it refroze. But I'm going to try to get a couple shots here with them doing some eating here. Just going to check my exposure. A little bright. Back that down. Again, we're looking at some white birds here. Again, these are local seagulls. You might be thinking, why would I want to photograph seagulls? And again, it's all about the practice, right? You're training yourself, you're training your eye. You might still get some really cool shots, maybe some action shots as they take off with some fish in their mouth or something. And this is all stuff you need to learn, and you transfer these skills off to those those goal species that you might have. Now, when I came in here, anytime you've got a number of birds in one place, they spook easy. The energy of one or two will get the entire group up and going. But if you wait just a few minutes in a place like this, they're going to come back for the food. It's laying all over the ice here. They're going to ignore me after a minute or two, and they're going to come right back and get to it. So, getting it nice and tight. Yeah, take a look at that shot. I'm just slowly coming back up on the seagulls here to see if there's another opportunity. I mean, I know there is. I could spend hours here. Sometimes too, I'm just looking for the one or two birds in the group that look a little, have a little bit different markings, a little different color. Might have a shot there. One species to the next, and male and female, they'll it's great getting them fighting. All screaming at each other. One thing you might have noticed if you're looking closely is I'm using back button focus. I'll explain that in a future video. I'll teach you how to do it. But with back button, I got a flight shot. There's one more reason for back button focus. I don't know if any of those came out. But what it's doing, will allow me to do is it's allowing me to separate my focus and my shutter finger. So I can take shots when I want. I can focus separately. So when I'm watching that motion, I'm focusing. If I've got something sitting still, or if I know I've got that focused in, I just lift my thumb off. It doesn't continue focusing, and I can keep shooting as long as I want. And you don't get that focus hunt continuously happening. I'll do a full video on it in the future.
kind of doing right now is just watching the flight of some of these birds. And they're going out and coming in. If I can get one coming almost straight at me, it'd be cool. The one thing when there's a food source like this, already a natural food source, they're going to just keep coming back to you. So you just kind of keep an eye on what they're doing. And so you could literally sit here for 2-3 hours. They're not going to go anywhere. They're going to get up, they're going to come back. You're going to get constant opportunity to get some birds in flight type shots, birds down on the ground with their food, fighting with each other, interacting with each other. They might be a common species, it might be something you see all the time, but this is an excellent opportunity to play and to work and hone on those skills. Okay, so I'm going to probably spend another hour or so here with these seagulls and see what I can get, but you know, to wrap everything up for today, if you're going out and you're shooting, first of all, be safe. Make sure you're watching the road, guys. Don't take any risks to get the shots. But get out here, get some practice. Even working with something as common as a seagull that you might have tons around, it's going to give you the skills that you need so that when you're off on your adventures, when you're on vacation and you see some unique species, and there are birds around like this or different type of wildlife, it doesn't matter if it's birds or mammals, the same type of skills often apply. So work with those. Make sure you've got the longest lens you've got available. In a lot of cases, these are actually close enough. I could probably shoot these with 200. Open your lens up as wide as you can. Play with your ISO a little bit. You might have to bump that up a little bit to get a faster shutter speed. On the 7D Mark II, I have no problem shooting this at 1600, probably 24, might even at 3200 would probably give me a good shot in a lot of cases if I had a really cloudy day and there wasn't not enough light. So get out there, practice. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you like this content. We're going to see you again next week.